the revolution of 1848, Romanian and Hungarian intelligence. He started to compare these two intellectual movements. He knows, and he studied Hungarian press and Romanian press, Hungarian text, fundamental text, and Romanian fundamental text, which is very new for better understanding the first half of the 19th century. El se ocupa astăzi de școlile gimnaziale, sistemul de școli gimnaziale din Banat între 1967 și 1914, deci perioada monarhiei austro-ungare, iar pentru teza de doctorat pe care o pregătește sub coordonarea noastră și a profesorului Adriana Weimer, se ocupă de evoluția inteligenției românești și maghiare în perspectivă comparativă perioada dinainte de Revoluția din 1948, respectiv căutând conceptul de revoluție, de emancipare, de modernizare care apare la nivel cultural. Pentru sistemul de educație, la școală a studiat în arhive foarte multe lucruri, are statistici multe și, bineînțeles, pentru a doua jumătate a secolului al XIX-lea, sursele în limba maghiară sunt esențiale. Sunt statistici, dar sunt și foarte multe comentarii, surse bibliografice din perioada aceea, pe care el le-a parcurs cu o mare atenție. It seems to me he used a lot of archived documents, statistical information, but also sources from the period. Aaron Kovac is a very good librarian, first of all. He works in the Sarospatak Library, one of the best and old library in Hungary, in northern part of Hungary. That also he is very present in our activity in the school, in the PhD school for conceptual history in Timișoara. I give the floor, but I like to have a short presentation because many people like to put questions, and we would like to go earlier to visit the Museum of Lugoj after 6 o'clock. And for this reason, please, together with the former director of the museum, Lubinica Vana, o rog și pe ea ca să fie mai scurt, ca să putem vizita și muzeul, cu acceptul domniei sale, care așa mi-a spus colega mea că a vorbit cu și că ei își doresc lucrul ăsta. Așa este? Bun. Let's start, please.
First of all, I would like to promise that I'm going to keep this 15 minutes what is scheduled. In this evening, I would like to talk about the secondary education in the Banat between 1867 and 1914. Basically, I want to pick up the line what Professor Boyko put down earlier, but I chose another point of view. I mean, I'm not going into so deep analysis of the schools, but I'm dealing much more with the system and how it cooperated with the area surrounding. And so, basically, the life changed completely between 1848 and 67, but in this period the school system didn't follow this, and to the turning point of 67 we arrived to a point when it was kind of necessary to change the school system because of the industrialization, because of the huge commercial role of the region, and because of this there were fundamental changes in the system itself. The infrastructure of the education was extended enormously. The this program was rebuilt, and these schools which were founded here had really huge cultural influence. So these are basically those steps I would like to follow. The legal conditions, as I mentioned, changed in 1867, and in the first period, between 1867 and 1883, they were based on the so-called Organisation der Gymnasien and the Realschule. And the second period is between 1883 and 1914, when the system was based on a new law, the 30th law of 1883. This handbook distinguished two kinds of schools. I'm going to use the German names because there are no appropriate translations into English. This gymnasium means humanistic-oriented secondary school. Basically, it taught much more about the antique world and antique languages, and the Realschule is more focused on natural sciences, and it's a practice-oriented for the everyday life of the students. The fundamental change the fundamental change was really this 1883 law, in which the gymnasium didn't change so much, but the Realschule was extended from 6 years to 8 years, and the goal of it became to prepare the students to the higher education. So let's start with the first level of the system, the gymnasium. In the beginning of the research period, in 1867, there were two full 8-classes gymnasiums in the region, and three so-called lower gymnasiums, which meant that they didn't have all the 8 classes, just part of them. The eldest among them was the one in Arad, founded by the Mennonite order in 1745. And it was transformed to a state gymnasium in 1850. Not much later, in 1750, the Piarists founded another school in Sant'Anna, which in 1788 moved to Timișoara, and this is nowadays the well-known Piarist school of Timișoara. And there were some others, one, for example, here in Lugoj, one in Benjamin, one in Pančevo, which were these partial gymnasiums in the beginning of the period. Between 1867 and 1914, 3 other institutions were founded in the region, one in Timișoara, a full gymnasium, a higher gymnasium, and by the state, and one in Itinda, and there was another in Caransebeș. About this in Caransebeș, we should mention that this is the only one which served kind of national goals in the Banat. The others were kind of multilingual. So about the investments and infrastructure, we should tell that in the beginning of the period, all these schools had really huge troubles about buildings, with everything surrounded them. The biggest trouble was with this Piarist school, which was very famous and very popular in the age. They were lacking the most of the space, so they were kind of moving around Timișoara for a long time. And after a constant moving in 1885, the situation reached that point that the upper classes moved to the Catholic seminary, one class got placed in the officer barracks of the military, and another was placed in the city hotel in Timișoara. So it was obvious that they had to change some of the situation, but Timișoara, the city, and the order wasn't able to agree how to resolve the situation. So finally, the Ministry of Education decided to found another gymnasium. It resolved the problem for about 10 years. This is nowadays this Colegio Nazionale di Lugoj. And so it resolved the problem for around 10 years, but in the next years, the PRD school again grew to huge and over the capacities. So finally, they decided to invest or to build a new building, which is on the picture. They built it with 1 million crowns, about which we should know that the whole budget of secondary schools in this age was 500,000 crowns in a year in the whole country. And they spent the double amount on the building. And this building school was a trend in this age. This building is nowadays the Colegio Lugoj, which was at that time this state higher school, higher gymnasium of Timisoara. This was designed by a very famous Hungarian architect, He was the designer of the Agricultural Museum, for example, in Budapest, or the other famous building of him is the building of the Hungarian National Bank in Budapest. So he was kind of a superstar of architect in his age. That gymnasium we saw earlier was very well equipped, and they had, for example, a music room, a huge aula with the possibility to convert it to theater, and it was perfectly made. This building is the building of the higher gymnasium of Arad, which gave also place to Realschule, and it was also built in this age. And the higher gymnasium of Lugoj, which we see on the picture, this is also a modern building, and the state invested a lot of money in this. About the cultural role of these schools, we should differentiate two levels. The two huge gymnasiums, I mean Arad and Timisoara, were significantly more important than the others. The pianist gymnasium of Timisoara, for example, had Szent Klárai as a teacher. He was corresponding member of the Hungarian Academy. Another, Törös Albin, was corresponding member of the Spanish Royal Academy. The other school, the Arad Gymnasium, had Jancsó Benedek, Márki Sándor, who wrote references of the history of that age. Johan Bolyai, who was a corresponding member of the Romanian Academy. So these the teachers there were really the best and well-trained professors they were able to get. And these schools had a huge collection which was significant. The PRD school had a very good numismatics collection, botanical and X collection. All of them are donations of philanthropists. The State Gymnasium of Arad has the famous Orcivásárdai library. Nowadays it's part of Romanian national heritage. It has 9 curriculums, among them the personal Bible of George Rákóczi II, the Prince of Transylvania, printed in 1475, which means a certain level of the education itself. The smaller schools play a very important role in the regions. For example, this Lugoj Gymnasium here was the only one in the whole country until 1907, when the one in Karácsonyfehes was founded. So all the regions, it was the center of the highest level of the education in the whole country. The number of the students, that the infrastructure grows so fast, raises the question what happened with the students. And if we see those statistics in the beginning of the period, we can find around 900, 1,000 students, mostly in in the bigger schools. And this number was grow up to 2,500 to the end of the period. So it's 2.5 times bigger. The students were usually from the region or from the micro-regions of the schools. And mainly they were children of local landowners, craftsmen, tradespeople, functionaries, and of the local administration, and from the middle class. This what we have to mention, that the two extremities of the society are not really present. So the lower classes of the society are present with something like 10%, but it depends on schools, and the highest is in 5% maximum, what I found in the case of Timișoara, which was a very good school. The mother tongue, this is the most trickiest question what I found in the whole topic, that as a colleague of us, Patrick Darvish, mentioned in a study of him, it was a self-definition. They declared that my language is this or that. And this makes this definition very flexible. And this is the reason why I don't want to really talk much about this and connect it with cultural groups, because it's kind of impossible to tell in those circumstances, but we can find, for example, in Panchevo. I found the yearbook, and I was completely shocked when I found these statistics from 1884. This was made by the school. Mother tongue of the students: 1 Hungarian, 5 who had German Hungarian 28, German Serbian 8, Hungarian German Serbian 40, Hungarian German Romanian 6, Hungarian German Serbian Romanian 11. And this is a question, or the level how they speak those languages is a question. I don't know if they mastered all of them, but this was what they declared. If they came with a background like this from home, it's really complicated to cut them in different groups, because I guess they were not those who could be easily put in or tagged with nations and nationalities. I'm slowly going to that time, so I have to pass to Realschule. This was another kind of school which was made, it trained specialists for the industry. It prepared the students for the higher education on technical domains, and it was much more practical than the gymnasium. The students studied, for example, applied mathematics, which meant economics. They had a course about commercial goods, calligraphy, technology, all they needed in business. The first 4 years was kind of in between the primary and secondary education. So in this period, after these 4 years, they were able to leave the school and find some trainee jobs in industry. The second part is which is more important for us, because it belongs to the secondary education. And the goal of that was to train the students for higher schools, but only on technical fields. They were not able to go to medicine, arts, or anywhere else, because they did a closing exam and not a baccalaureate, what was the end of the gymnasium. There were 3 of these higher Realschule founded in the region. There were some Realschule, but they were private in the beginning of the period, and they had only 4 classes. And these schools were transformed into other forms after 67. So this was kind of a new field where what the state founded in the region. In 1817 Timișoara, 75 in Arad, 1880s in Brășet, they had a school. The one in Timișoara had really a challenging time until it got the new building, because it was placed in the local hospital, and for example in 1874 there was rubeola in Timișoara, rubeola disease, and the disease people were placed right next to the classrooms, and because of this the school had to close down for a while. And because of this the city decided to resolve the problem very fast, and they built this huge building of the school, which was very well equipped. It had a lot of space, it had laboratories, everything what was needed for education. The third part of the education I really would like to talk about is the women education, because it's, I guess it's one of the most important and interesting part of the topic, because the role of women changed completely in the period before 1867, and those schools maintained by nunneries and the private schools were just not able to fulfill the needs of, or fulfill the role of educating the new type of woman, because they were not only housewives anymore, but they worked, and because of this they had to have more practical schools. The Ökosló established a kind of 4 years long realschule for them, but this was not enough. So very fast it was expanded to a 6 years school. This is the building of the Timișoara realschule for girls, which is kind of impressive, I guess. There were, in the end of the period, 12 schools for girls. What they learned here was almost like the realschule, but they had some other classes like middle words, psychology, music, singing, instruments. What was needed by
good wife.
For a good wife. Here are those the differences compared to the realschule. And the other thing is that the baccalaureate was open for the girls in 1883. But the girls were prepared on a private base on this exam. As long as they founded only one school in Budapest, one gymnasium for girls. And in this school we can find 4 to 8 girls in every year from the Banat region. I mean from those 4 counties. About those who prepared privately on this exam, we know almost nothing. This is important because I guess 10 years later, 12 years later, in 1895, the universities were open for girls. The medicine, then the pharmaceutics and the arts faculties, and with this way they were able to go further with the studies. So to conclude my my presentation,